Hey there, this is Tobias on the campus of Huntington University. You're listening to Rooted. Make sure you subscribe to Rooted on iTunes or Google Play. You can find us by searching Forster Radio Rooted. And you can also catch Rooted every Thursday evening at 7 on 105.5 WQHU. And today, with me, I have Reverend Arthur Wilson, pastor here at Huntington University, with us. Arthur, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, a little tired. It's been a cloudy, rainy weekend. Not a lot of sunshine, but, God is still good, and it's great to be here on campus today.
Yeah, definitely. It's, it kind of drains all of your energy out of you when you see it out like this, and it's been like this for the past couple of days, too.
Yeah, man, it's something. It is something.
So, Arthur, tell me a little bit about what you do here at Huntington University so we can tell everybody.
My official title is Dean of Spiritual Life and Campus Pastor here, and so my primary responsibility is helping to facilitate the spiritual growth and development of our students, and that happens by working with students, working with faculty, working with staff and coaches.
And so, our first chapel of the year, you were talking a little bit about your summer and about how it was kind of a difficult summer for you with family, and you also mentioned a little bit about some medical problems with your daughter. Do you mind sharing just a little bit about, what kind of happened this summer with you?
Yeah, so actually her issues started in February. And so it started out just with her one day not being able to do anything for herself. It started out, we thought she had like a skin issue with rashes and things. And so we thought that this was nothing more than just going to see a dermatologist and getting some nice cream. And then the problem would be fixed. But lo and behold, she was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease known as juvenile dermatomyositis, which is a debilitating disease that both breaks down and inflames the skin and muscle. And so she went from being able to brush her teeth, comb her hair, dress herself, to not being able to do any of that. And so all of her dependency was on her mother and on me to assist her with those things. And so with such a rare disease as dermatomyositis, that's not a disease that a lot of physicians in this area have managed or dealt with. So we had to do a lot of trips to Indianapolis, to Riley's Children's Hospital. For her IVIG treatments, we've had to go to Whitley County Hospital, Parkview. And then we spent a lot of time out at Parkview Regional. So through that, physical therapies, surgeries, it's just been a lot. So we had to take her to a lot of places. And so it was my wife and I doing the best that we could. But after time, those appointments and just watching your daughter go through, day after day of just struggling with pain, crying out in extreme amounts of pain, having a lot of open wounds because her skin is deteriorating. That's kind of hard to witness. It's kind of hard to see. But through the grace of God, we've been able to get through it as best as possible.
How many surgeries total has she had to go through?
She has had, I believe, 3 surgeries, and may have to have another one depending on how her tendon in her right hand does through her physical therapy. So when in the early stages of her diagnosis with this disease, she developed like what appeared to be large cysts on both hands. And doctors really didn't know what it was. At one point, they thought it was a reaction to or just a consequence of being on prednisone, steroid. But lo and behold, we had to take her to the emergency room one night, and they diagnosed it as being a staph infection. And on her right hand, the staph infection got so bad and the bump got so big that it actually snapped her tendon in her middle finger. So the surgeries were to drain first the staph infections from both hands, and that developed because of the broken skin and staph possibly living on the skin and getting into some of those wounds. But after that, then there was surgery to repair the tendon, And yeah, maybe another one to go back in. So she had a surgery on the left hand, had a surgery on the right hand, had a repairing of the tendon in the right hand. And so, yeah, three surgeries so far.
Yeah. Oh, and those sound like pretty major surgeries.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. They were something. My daughter, she has been a real trooper. I thought I've been through things in life that have been difficult and tough, but watching her has really gave me a lot of confidence and strength and hope. And that's the power of just being able to journey with her through this experience. And I think that this experience for her is in so many ways preaching to her a sermon that is really changing her life and allowing her to see how God can use her for his glory.
And so you said that your daughter is 17, correct?
Yes, she's 17.
And so that means she's a senior in high school?
She's a senior.
That's just crazy. Just to know that a 17-year-old girl who should be looking forward to many more things to come is having to worry about something like this.
Yep.
Now, you said that she's going to possibly have to have another surgery. Mm-hmm. She's also going through physical therapy.
Yep.
Are there any other things that she is having to do now to kind of help things
2 weeks
go
ago,
faster?
I had to cut her hair off just because of the side effects of some of the medications. It's taken its toll. And so I told her, now we get to be twins. I have a bald head. She has a bald head.
I'm guessing she wasn't very happy about that comment.
No, she wasn't. She wasn't. But she's so beautiful. Her bald head is so beautiful. And I think she's even become comfortable with the idea of wanting to keep her hair short once she gets it back. So, yeah, she has had to do that. Besides the physical therapy, she also developed, because of the prednisone, a type 1 diabetes type of issue. So she has to take a lot of shots with every meal, checking her blood sugar. And in that regard, I'm not type 1, but I'm type 2. So we're sharing that bond and now competing to see who has the lowest blood sugar levels, which she wins all the time. So man, you factor all those things, and then having to get a shot of methotrexate once a week. She's a trooper. She is a real trooper.
That's for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no way I could go anything through that, but for her to be 17 and be that strong, that's really incredible.
Yep.
So what about schooling for her? Like, how is she able to take online classes for her senior year so she can graduate on time, or what is she doing?
Yeah,
with that?
She's actually been doing online learning, I believe, since like last December or January.
Okay.
So it was perfect timing for an issue like this to happen, because she was already engaged in a process where she was doing her homework on her own, engaging and interacting with her teachers online and through text messages and things like that. So yeah, she's way ahead of where she needs to be right now. And so it's all about getting her college ready. And so we plan on getting her taking the SAT or ACT and ensuring up her grades so that her GPA is where it needs to be to become an HU Forester.
That's awesome. With you, really, I guess this semester, since it happened, it started all happening in last February. Mm-hmm. Is this affecting your role this semester at all here at Huntington?
I'd say since day one, it's affected my role. And, most people would expect it to affect it maybe in a negative way, but it hasn't. The one thing that this journey has taught me about is the gift of presence. To be able to be present with people is a wonderful gift. Now, it was kind of hard at the beginning of my daughter's journey to present this gift well, because I'm a fixer. I think a lot of dads are fixers. We see a problem, we fix it. If a faucet is broke, I'm not calling a repairman. I'm going to fix it myself. Look up a YouTube video or something. But in this particular situation, I could not fix it. But I learned that's not what she wanted. She just wanted to know that her dad is with her, and that was enough for her. And so it's taught me the importance of being present with students. You know, when you see a student on the mall and you sense that something is not right, being present with that student. Don't let that student walk past you and just say, well, if they want to talk about it, they'll schedule an appointment with me through my secretary. Nah, take the time to sit with them and just be with them. Don't rush off to your next meeting. Those things will take care of themselves. What's important is the right now, the present, what people are dealing with. And so it's made me more intentional as a campus pastor. It's made everything that I do more meaningful. And so it's also an opportunity for me to just be vulnerable and transparent with students that I have the honor of ministering to, where they see God not just working on them, but wow, this dude who's the campus pastor, he's having his own journey and he's not ashamed to talk about it and be honest about it, authentic, to cry when he needs to cry, to question when he needs to question. This is real. This is a faith journey. And so it's such an honor to be able to invite students along that journey with you. So it's made me, I would say, a more effective Dean of Spiritual Life campus pastor.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. And so kind of going back to your daughter, you know, you guys seem like you guys have had a great relationship. Mm-hmm. So how has your relationship with her changed through this process?
Well, I'll be honest with you. So I believe I was 21 when my wife gave birth to our daughter, my first child, my only daughter. And so in so many ways, you know, I have a lot of, man, I would do that differently if I had the opportunity. So as I have had 3 more children after her, I've learned a lot, especially from the mistakes I have made as a father with her, what to do and how to be an effective, good, loving father. But yeah, she's always loved her dad. And I think that, you know, since I struggled a lot, not receiving a lot of affection while growing up, that has always been a challenge for me to really show affection. But this journey, man, has been so wonderful for my relationship with my daughter. We have bonded so well. We spend so much time together. I don't know, man. It's almost indescribable how close our bond is. I like to say it's to the point where my daughter feels like she needs to spend all the time with me, and I have to remind her sometimes I got a lovely wife that you know, I need to spend some of that time with her. But you know, I also realize that this is my opportunity to really show her what a loving father, what a loving man of God, what a loving husband looks like. And so I want to make the most of this moment. You know, my daughter will never know what it means to have a prom in the sense of being a high school student with her friends and peers. But I'm telling you, this year I'm going to do something very special for her and give her her own unique prom in her own unique way. And so I am looking at this journey as God's great gift to me to redeem some of the time and not see this as such a sad occasion, but to use it as an opportunity to just make a mark where she can look back on this journey and say, man, I love my dad so much because of X, Y, and Z. And so, yeah, we're real close. She looks just like me too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
That really is cool. I always love hearing stories about how people are so close with their parents, because I'm close with my parents too, and to only be 20 minutes away from them and still be able to see them on weekends is really cool. And I'm just happy that I'm able to still be here on campus, but still be close with them at the same time. So in your role as a pastor, there are a lot of people out there that think, pastors, when they go through hard situations, they don't really they don't react like we do, because they're so much stronger than us. I guess, what would you have to say to that? I mean, because you're human just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Well, going through this journey, I yes, in theory, I know that it was about me being a pastor, but being a pastor never crossed my mind in this journey. I was a father. And so as a father, I struggled. I struggled in so many ways, especially in the beginning. When you hear a loved one not cry but wail in pain, the only times in Scripture I remember reading about wailing is in describing hell, and some of the reactions of the inhabitants of hell. And so that gave new meaning, and not being able to fix my daughter's problem and wondering where in the world is God in the midst of this, that was tough. So I had a lot of moments to shed tears. I had a lot of moments to be angry with God. And I'm so grateful that God was able to absorb all that, because he has always been there. And, he allowed me to not be the pastor. He allowed me to be a dad. He allowed me to be a human being struggling with the suffering of his child. And while, yes, you have to have a professional appearance when you're doing ministry, I never felt like, people would have thought less of me if they saw how much it really hurt. And that's why I have allowed her story to be so much a part of what I do and what I say when I talk about God's gift of presence. I wanted people to join me on this journey. So, a pastor is just a normal person like any person. They sin. They need the grace and salvation of Jesus. I've had my own health struggles where I've questioned God, his fairness. But I've learned worrying about those things and getting answers to those questions only, I think, takes away from the precious gift of the time that you have with those who mean the most to you. And so this has been a very stress-free time for me, in the sense that it has really challenged and taught me how to lean and depend on God, and not try to take care of my burdens or my problems on my own. And so I hope that people watching me go through this have really learned more through this journey than any of the sermons I've ever preached, because now you get to see a pastor live this sermon like we get to see a regular lay person live sermons every day of their lives. There's no difference. There's no distinction. And I'm just, I guess, honored that God would allow this journey to let others know that, regardless of the title you hold or the amount of time you spend getting a ministry, a theology degree, nothing prepares you for life. Nothing prepares you for life. And the same grace and the same strength that I don't even like to use the word normal, but any other person has to manage, you find yourself, and life will put you in a situation where you'll find yourself needing God's strength to be made perfect in your moment of weakness. And I've learned that lesson. I keep learning that lesson. So, yeah, man.
Final question. How can we pray for you and your family?
There's a couple of ways I would really appreciate people's prayers. And one is, first and foremost, for the continued progress of my daughter's health condition. She's making tremendous strides, but she's on a lot of medications. And so I just pray that she will continue to grow. in progress health. Asks for your prayer for my wife and I. This is a very draining experience. I mean, who would ever think that driving and sitting hours in hospitals would be so draining, but it is very draining. So pray for our strength and our support. Pray for our sons. She has 3 brothers who I'm certain have their own questions, and we've seen them wrestle with this, but not articulate their frustrations, their fears, or things like that. So I pray that God will really allow them the space to process what they too are experiencing through our daughter's health condition. And I just pray that she will and they will experience God in the midst of this and understand how this type of journey can benefit the lives of others and benefit the kingdom of God. So, yeah, man, pray for Riley Hospital to move to Fort Wayne. That'd be another prayer request. That gas money going to Indianapolis is a bit taxing. So, IU Health is making some moves to Fort Wayne area, but they need to get here a little bit sooner. Yeah, those are the major things I would ask for prayer for. And our family, we are so close. And, I know Satan thought he was going to really try to cause a wedge in our family through the situation, but he didn't. It actually had the opposite effect. And so we are strengthened. We are full of faith. And I just pray that remains even while she gets better. Let us not ever forget this journey and God's presence with us in it. So I want our family to continue to be faithful to God as her health condition improves. So,
yeah. Definitely. You have all of our prayers here at Forster Radio, and it's been really awesome to talk to you today, Arthur, just about your journey and about your family's journey, about your daughter's journey. Again, a 17-year-old going through all of this who should be thinking about, what college she's going to go to next year, and instead she's thinking about health problems and all of this stuff is just happening so fast for her, and it's mentally draining too. It's not just physically draining, but it's mentally draining. I mean, even with you and your wife, I mean, being in the hospital, it's just all the mental things that go into it is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, hospital chairs are not comfortable. The food isn't always the best, but you have to go through it. And this last story I just want to share just to talk about the power of God. I'll never forget, maybe a couple months ago, I had to make a hospital run to visit somebody in intensive care. And so we were coming from one of her appointments. And so I didn't take her into the intensive care unit, but I asked her to wait in the waiting room lobby. And so after spending time praying with the family and seeing the patient, I came back out and my daughter was sitting next to this elderly lady who was just in tears, crying. And so after my daughter finished, we were walking to our car and I asked her, what was that conversation about? And she said, well, this woman was facing a major decision where she had to pull her brother off of life support. And she said, I shared my story with her, and she was just thanking me for sharing the story of her journey and how that just touched her and helped this process of her own a little bit easier. And she said, wow, Dad, I never thought that God could use me like this through what I'm going through. And that was just so amazing. And so I while her physical journey is very grueling, she has so much spiritual juice and energy from what she's going through, where God is getting the glory out of this. And so, she, it isn't for pity, she's for praising God, praising Jesus through this journey, because she understands the purpose behind this pain. And it's just amazing to watch her minister to others as God continues to take her through this journey.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man.
Just being able to use it in her own story. And I mean, this is her story. Yep. I mean, this is God working through her, and she's glowing with it.
Yeah.
Well, Well, Arthur, thank you so much for just coming in and sharing a little bit about what's been going on with you and ever since February and out the summer and now. And everybody at home, thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe to Rooted on iTunes and Google Play. And remember, you can always listen to Forster Radio over the air in Huntington on 105.5 WQHU or stream us anytime, anywhere on the Radio FX app. Stay rooted, HU.